I like Neymar, but I've never seen Neymar as a
No. Top player.
Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney. I swear, he knows how to be relevant. He really does. He really understands that he's starting to really get this whole streaming and content creation and all of that kind of stuff, because the garbage that he came out with today, and Roy Keane, don't get it twisted, Roy Keane as well, the garbage that they came out with today is just, it's mental. It's mental. I haven't even watched the full video, and I don't even think there's anything else I need to watch, to be honest, to understand like context. Sometimes you don't understand certain things because you miss the context of the conversation and you've just jumped in and they've just clicked a certain moment and etc. But Wayne Rooney, listen, Rooney said, so obviously I'm assuming they're obviously talking about, great players or players in general, right? And then obviously they're speaking about Neymar. Now, the whole Neymar conversation in itself is always a funny one, I think, anyway, because it's even by what Rooney even said, right? I think that's even a part of the problem that people have had and also just have it in general when it comes to Neymar, right? He mentioned, Neymar not being on the same level as a Messi and Ronaldo. Bro, and this is why sometimes you get frustrated with people who have played the game and the way that they speak about some of these players and stuff like that. And listen, it's not always true. It doesn't correlate just because you played football at a professional elite level that you always have the, what I say, quote unquote, best opinions, right? Or the best takes on certain things. Now we're just fans, so we're only gonna have a very micro kind of look at things, right? But nobody is measuring Neymar to Messi and Ronaldo. And obviously I can't speak for everybody, so I don't know how everybody else took to Neymar in terms of what they thought he was going to be, right? How I took to Neymar was, yes, did I think that if Messi ever left Barcelona, you would be the guy to take the mantle? Yes, 100%. Had he stayed there, Barcelona, he probably would have taken that mantle. In fact, there probably would have been steps towards him potentially taking that mantle. Did he make the right move and move into PSG? Well, I mean, he got PSG to the Champions League final, and you know, if had things gone their way a little bit differently, he would have won the Champions League there. Do you get what I'm saying? So then would we be having a different conversation? Maybe so, depending on if you're judging Neymar purely on just trophies and stuff like that. I mean, he has got a Champions League trophy with Barcelona, so it's not like he's never won it, right? So he's got that in his locker regardless. Do we think that he could and should be better? Of course. Of course. Like that, like the reality is this year, where we've had this, like there was like a gap after Messi and Ronaldo. Like once they started, like just kind of getting older more than anything, there was this kind of gap between who's next and like the really young players. So there are Kylian Mbappe's at the time, obviously. So Kylian Mbappe, obviously, he was relatively young at the time. Obviously, really young when he came through. Harry Kane wasn't at this elite, world class, just ridiculous level. Haaland obviously was still young. Lamine Yamal wasn't even a thought process in anyone's mind, right? So then we've had this little kind of period where there hasn't really been like and again, not to measure them to Messi and Ronaldo, but there's not even been, I feel, a player on like Luka Modric or like a Lewandowski kind of level. Only now Harry Kane I would look at, right? And Kylian Mbappe kind of thing. But for quite a few years, I would say, um, I'd say maybe for the last like 3, 4 years, we've not really had that, which is cool. I guess it kind of happens when you've got two players who are the best ever players in football history. Obviously, it's going to be anything else after that. It's always just going to be looked at like this is rubbish kind of thing, and that's totally understandable. But we had so many years where it just felt like no one really wanted to take the mantle. Kylian Mbappe felt like he was flirting with trying to be the best in the world, but not really getting there. And last season, obviously, of course, Ousmane Dembele obviously won the Ballon d'Or, rightly so, whatever you think, kind of thing. Obviously, Lamine Yamal, he's young, so there's no, oh, he needs to do it now kind of thing. He's still got years in the game where he can still get better and obviously still win Ballon d'Ors and stuff like that. And he looks like the kind of next best kind of thing that's kind of coming through. Harry Kane, as I mentioned before, top player. You got Erling Haaland as well. You got the likes of the Pedris, the Vitinhas. I don't think they would ever win it, but you've got those kind of players there. So we're getting into this kind of mold now. So maybe the next few years it's going to be great. But Neymar was supposed to be in that intervening period. That he was supposed to help us bridge that transition towards these other guys. So when we're looking at it like that, in my opinion, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. It's understandable as to why some people look at Neymar and look at his career and stuff like that. And we start going back in time and start thinking, oh, maybe you should have done this, and maybe you should have done that, and etc. etc. But if we're just talking about pure ability, and I go back to it, like, so obviously, like I said, they were talking about this on the overlap, blah blah blah. So it says here, look, overlap discussing Premier League players, which Premier League players are better than Neymar. Roy Keane says Rooney's better. He thinks Rooney's better, Ronaldo is better, Henri is better. I'll give you Ronaldo. Henri, I think that's the same level, in my personal opinion. Rooney, I think Neymar's just ahead. But if you're saying these three, I'm not necessarily going to argue with you. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, like, what you're saying is absolutely outrageous and stuff like that. I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's that deep. But for me personally, that I just look at that and I think, yeah, no, I'll probably say Ronaldo, no. Um, Henri, I feel like they're kind of the same, in the same kind of level in terms of just as players in general. And Rooney, I think Neymar's just a little bit better. It's not wild. It's not like light years ahead. I don't think that there's this like massive gap between the two players. I think it probably just comes more down to preference. Do you get what I'm saying? Like aesthetics more than anything. I mean, we can do the GA stuff, but it will get embarrassing for Henri and Rooney, to be honest with you. So if that was the case, then you know what I mean, he'd be only behind Cristiano Ronaldo in a general sense. But I'm not going to argue with those three. Then Neville said, like, obviously Neville was just asking now because I saw the clip. He was just asking. He said, well, Mo Salah. And then thank God Ian Wright said it because he said Mo Salah is not better than Neymar. In what world is Mo Salah better than Neymar? Like, whatever. Then obviously Jill obviously said Sadio Mane is. Then I just said, oh yeah, you see, the problem is that, and I think even she even potentially alluded to it, like they watch the Premier League, so obviously you're gonna have the bias, and I understand it, I get it. You're gonna have bias towards the Premier League because it's the league that you watch very, very consistently. But I promise you, I think they also named Hazard as well. I think Hazard was one of the other players that I heard in this list. I said, nah. Like, for me, he would have to be joint third in this kind of list. And again, I'm not going to then argue if you then said, oh no, maybe you wanted to put Rooney ahead. Fair enough. You can bring up whatever you need to bring up. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm not going to argue that. But the Mo Salahs, the Sadio Mane's, the Eden Hazards, brother, like that's where. Come on, bro. Like that's a different kind of level. We're talking about a different type of player when it comes to these guys. And obviously after that, I don't know if they named anybody else, which I mean, they couldn't really and truly because no one else even is remotely close when it comes to someone, someone like Neymar. But again, I just found that it was so. It's this typical prem bias thing that we've got going on recently, and obviously it's been ramped up, in the last couple of weeks, just because of obviously the Premier League teams getting knocked out of the Champions League. So you've got Manchester City, you've got Newcastle, you've got Tottenham. You know what I mean? All getting slapped. Kind of thing. Liverpool lost their first game. Arsenal drew their first game. Obviously, I know they won and they made it through, which is obviously the most important. But again, it just highlighted the kind of bias that we've got towards our league and almost disrespect towards the other leagues, and the excuses that I've seen coming out since then is just been extremely funny. But again, that's a conversation for another day. When we're just looking purely at someone like Neymar, it's ridiculous, man. I really don't think people even comprehend. This is a guy who came through at Santos, right? He came through at Santos a young age, and from a young age, the spotlight was on him. If anybody doesn't really understand, and for anybody who's watching, let's say in America, for example, think LeBron James. Think of someone like that who, from almost seems like from birth, but obviously not. But from a very, very young age, the spotlight was on you. You was supposed to be the next one. You were supposed to be the guy. You were supposed to be this. Now, when it comes to say someone like a LeBron James, right? And obviously Neymar, the reason why I liken them to, like to each other is because, as I mentioned, obviously coming up through such a young age, there's a lot put on your shoulders. You're both extremely talented, kind of things, and obviously you're still trying to make your way and do your thing, whilst also remembering that there are goats in your sport. So of course, with Messi in football, and then and Ronaldo, and then obviously you've got Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, in the NBA. Now the difference, someone obviously everything's all timing, right? Everything is all timing. By the time someone like LeBron James is coming through and is an established individual within the NBA, there is no Michael Jordan. You get what I'm saying? That Kobe Bryant, he's on his way out, kind of thing. Like it's one of those. It's like the passing of the torch then becomes a lot more natural at that point. So you then almost get a free reign because now there isn't, because again you have to maintain it, but there then just becomes this passing of a torch. There comes this kind of, okay, now no one is or can speak about Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant as an example, right? Because the reality is I'm here now. I'm the next one. I'm the guy. So I'm gonna now, obviously you have to perform, but I'm going to now perform, and there's not gonna be this, oh yeah, I'm on the same team as a Kobe, I'm on the same team as a Michael Jordan kind of thing, or oh, I played with Michael Jordan, or I played with, there isn't that anymore. It's all gone. Neymar, unfortunately for him, he obviously joins a team which already has the GOAT in there. And that GOAT is already performing at that point that Neymar joins. He's already being looked at as, okay, yeah, this might be the best guy ever in the sport, kind of thing. Like we're looking at him at that kind of level. We're not now talking about him being the best player of his generation. No, we're talking about him being the best player ever to even play the sport, kind of thing. Whereas LeBron James didn't really have that to contend with. So again, like I said, it's that kind of free reign that you then get to be able to become free. Neymar had all of that. I'm sorry, but you're playing in a team with Lionel Messi. So the fact that Wayne Rooney even mentions that, like, he's not even, of course, he's not on the level. Nobody is. Like, there's a reason why that they are at a level themselves. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So when you're then trying to like you're trying to look at it and you're trying to think, oh, okay, cool. So then where do we really, like, how can we really judge someone like a Neymar? Well, the reality is, whilst the GOATs are still playing, it's going to be pretty impossible more than anything for in order for him to really even, because unfortunately for him, those two weren't really slowing down. It wasn't a case like, yeah, they got to this. Like, remember, it was only when like Messi went to PSG. It's only really when Ronaldo moved to like a Juve and all of that. Yeah, I know they did. I know like Ronaldo did good and he scored goal, but come on, bro, Ronaldo was the Ronaldo that we know in comparison to the Ronaldo that we saw later on once he moved from Real Madrid are two different Ronaldos. Trust. So obviously, they're now got into that kind of stage, and by that point there are other people coming through, and those other people have now, it's almost like you can, I want to say level the playing field, but it's almost like, unfortunately for him, then the Kylian Mbappe's are starting to, what I mean, come through. Now Kylian Mbappe is being seen as this wonder boy because obviously in football, everything is, yo, who's the next best thing? And, no one's waiting around for you to do this, that, and the third kind of thing. So unfortunately for him, then a Kylian Mbappe comes. So again, there's not even like that free reign. Should he have still taken the reins? 100%. 100%. I'm not going to sit here and whatever. But then he goes to PSG, obviously does his thing at PSG. Then, of course, Mbappe then comes through. So then that's another player. And then guess what? The guy that you left in Spain then decides to come to your fucking team. So now he's here again. So again, there's going to be this overshadowing kind of figure. There's this, it's like, I almost feel like, I almost feel as if Messi's almost like haunted his career. As obviously Messi's my guy kind of thing, but it's almost like Messi's haunted the career of a Neymar because it's like you've just been everywhere I've been. Do you get what I'm saying? You've been everywhere I've tried to go, and all of these kind of things. And yeah, it's just been one of those. Now again, I'm not trying to excuse and say, oh yeah, Neymar should have done. Of course he should have done better, but the reality is, how much better? Do I think he could have won a Ballon d'Or? Yes, I do think maybe one Ballon d'Or, I think, would have just shut this whole conversation up. And we're not even having this conversation about anything because there ain't no Rooney or Henri winning no Ballon d'Ors. Definitely ain't no Mane, Salah, and Hazard. Do you get what I'm saying? So maybe had he won one, then fair enough. I think also as well, trophies then start to become a bigger factor because then even though he's won a Champions League and he's won numerous amount of league titles, both in Spain and in France, people then start looking at it from that perspective and saying, oh, but he didn't win the Champions League with thing. And it's like, oh, okay, fair enough. I hear it. But, Ronaldo only won it at, at Manchester United and Real Madrid. I mean, he want to nowhere else. Messi only at Barcelona. So again, we're looking at, like, I don't even understand, like, what else did you think he was going to be able to necessarily do, kind of thing. Mbappe didn't win it, and we don't talk about Mbappe in that kind of light, kind of thing. So yeah, I just felt like there was just such a level of, like, they were talking about Neymar as if this was like Mark Albright, and I was like, bro, do you even know who you're talking about? Like I don't even understand. Like, do you think, yeah, that we're just talking about, like, do you think we're just talking about like a Hazard? And that's the way. Maybe Marco Brown was me going too far, but like, it's as if we was talking about like a Hazard, someone who you think is a baller, you think is a really good player, but he weren't on them man's kind of level, kind of thing. Like, I mean, he weren't on the Neymars and the Messis and the Ronaldo type of levels. That's the kind of player that I felt like they were talking about. I'm like, no, like, of this generation anyway, and I'm not looking at this as a whole, but just of this generation, of my generation of watching footballers. If you're looking at like the Messis and the Ronaldos and stuff, bro, like Neymar's like the next one. Like, I can't think of anybody else. Like, maybe there is, and I'm just not really thinking. But if I'm just talking like pure just a talent and ability, I'm like, bro, wouldn't it be Neymar though? Like, he would always go down as he'll be in bronze place, always behind it. Like, unfortunately, he would just always be in that kind of place, which is, I guess, listen, it's an achievement in itself to be known that, okay, you know what, after these aliens, I'm like the next best thing. Then cool. Like, I feel like, who else? Do you get what I'm saying? So when they're talking about like the Rooneys and the even the Henrys, I'm thinking, nah, now I'm even thinking about it. I'm like, nah, maybe even and listen, Henry's my favorite Premier League player of all time. Favorite. I think he's the best. I think he's better than Ronaldo, like in the Premier League years anyway. Obviously not as an overall player, but in their time in the Premier League, I look at it and I think, nah, Ronaldo, Henry's the GOAT. Henry has to be the GOAT. I don't have anybody above him in terms of like Premier League, but I'm not looking at it in terms of like, yeah, in this, I'm just looking at it as an overall career kind of thing. And I'm like, nah, I still have Neymar just behind the Ronaldos and the Messis. I like, as in, it would be very difficult for me to think otherwise, and for you to be able to convince me that, yeah, nah, it's gonna need to be this guy or that guy, or yada yada yada. So when I'm hearing the way Wayne Rooney and Roy Keane, like the way Roy Keane was talking about stuff, like, what did he mention? I think he was talking about is is um is Neymar like a likable character or something? Like, I said, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, on a serious level, what does that have to do with anything? Is he likable? Like, what do you mean, is he likable, bro? Like, oh my god. And then that's when I knew, at that point anyway. That's when I started thinking, yeah, I can tell these guys are just reaching. They're like, you get to that stage where you're actually just reaching. Has Neymar ever been likable? He always gave the impression that it was very much about money. He wasn't a team player at PSG. How do you know? Roy, like, how do you know? You're someone who doesn't even like people perceiving you to be a certain type of way. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, you're not someone who likes people who perceived you as a type of player when it might not have really have been. Obviously, we don't know. We don't know. And obviously, you're just more speculating. But for that to then be one of the reasons as to why you think the way you do about a player, that's when I'm like, oh, come on, Roy, man. Like, you're probably on that panel anyway. You're the last person who should be talking about whether someone was likable, and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff that's irrelevant in the football in itself, because you from the outset, from people who didn't play professional football, you don't seem like a likable person at all. You seem like someone who was a fantastic team player when things went your way. That's what you seemed like. You seem like one of those guys. If things were going your way and you can have it done, or have things done your kind of way, then you were great. As soon as things looked like they weren't going your way, as soon as things looked like it was a little bit, yeah, now Roy, maybe we're gonna go in this direction. Yeah, it felt like you threw your toys out the pram. So I feel like you're the last person to really comment on things like that. That's what, and which is obviously ironic, the fact that he was the one, to obviously mention it. But yeah, I just feel like are these the kind of conversations that we're kind of, and this goes back to everything I said before to people in regards to football content and some of the conversations, and this is again another example of how I know that football at the moment is so dead that, yeah, it's just getting lost. It's actually just getting lost. at this moment in time, kind of thing, because these are the kind of conversations we're having. And I do get them, obviously, clickbait and all the stuff. I get all of that. I honestly get all of that. But yeah, we're in a dark place right now in football. If this is what's passing for content, this is what's riling up the people and stuff like that. Like, it's honestly, like, football is so down bad. It's astonishing, man. It's astonishing. And how it gets back up again, I don't really know. I really don't know. I don't know how we get back to just having good conversations. But yeah, stuff like this just make me think to myself, God damn, this is why football's always seen in the way that it's kind of seen, outside of, probably just outside of like the UK in itself, right? Because people look at it and just think, yeah, like, you don't seem smart, do you? Like, people who talk about football, we don't get looked at as smart individuals. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because of some of the things that we say when we're talking about sport anyway, some of the things that we say within that, yeah, it doesn't really look good. It doesn't really look good, man. So it is what it is. But I'd love to know what everyone else's thoughts are. I'd love to know what people think in regards to like someone like a Neymar. How did you see him? How did you view him? Do you think that Wayne Rooney was right? Do you agree with some of the points that he obviously made, and stuff like that? Like, let me know, man. Let me know in the thoughts. Let me know your thoughts, obviously, in the comment section and stuff like that, because I'm very intrigued to see where some of these conversations may actually go in regards to someone like Wayne Rooney. But let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.